All right, great. So we can go alphabetically. Allison, would you like to kind of kick off our introductions today?
Sure. My name is Allison Price. I am an associate director for RTX, formerly known as Raytheon Technologies. RTX is, I call the mothership of three businesses, Raytheon, Collins, and Pratt Whitney. I am facilities and I manage facilities and operations here in the DMV and along the East Coast up to New Hampshire. And I have been with the company a little over 13 years now in various capacities. I've managed both sites in North America and internationally. I am, I'll say, let's see, I'm married this year, 25 years, and I have two students, two college students, two kids in college. One will be graduating this year, so I actually beat my oldest to graduation, and so that was exciting for me. But again, I have been again in my role with this company for about 13 years. My portfolio consists of both classified, unclassified spaces within various regions along the East Coast, and I think that's about it for now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Those are some huge milestones
Yeah.
this year. So congratulations on all of
Yes.
Yeah.
Exciting times.
Yeah, great. All right, Josh, would you like to share next?
All right, thank you, Anna. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joshua Stone. I guess I'll start off with what I'm currently doing. So I'm an FBI agent. Been with the Bureau for about 20 years. My current role, I'm a senior executive here in the HR division. So I've been doing this probably for the last 1.5 years, but I've been with the organization for about 20. My organization sends me everywhere. So I've lived on both coasts, in California, Los Angeles, live in and worked in Washington, D.C. area, and the field offices here, and then various kind of headquarters divisions. So while you see human resources in this capacity, I've worked in counterterrorism primarily in my career, in various leadership roles. So whether it be senior leader, frontline leader, and now I'm an executive here in HR. So I've been doing that, as I said, about a couple of years. Came into the organization. I have a bachelor's in political science and legal studies. And so actually thought I was going to go more towards the criminal side of things. But as I realized, as you continue on in an organization and you walk into leadership positions, I found myself more and more sitting at tables and interacting with folks at the executive level. So my background with the MBA, my focus was the executive leadership piece. So I know we're going to get more into that. I'm excited to talk about it, but it's been an absolute perfect fit. So I'm excited for you guys as you are considering this. All that being said, so I've been married for about 16 years. I have two boys, 11 and 13. So juggling their schedules and my wife's schedules, and now because she's now started her master's, and yeah, so I'll leave it there, and I look forward to talking with you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. All right, and Matt.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Matt Brown. I'm the CEO of a company called ShorePoint. We are a cybersecurity services company that primarily services the federal civilian sector of all matters of defensive cybersecurity. So SOC management, vulnerability management, penetration testing, things like that. I live in Potomac, Maryland. I've been there for the last 13 years, but grew up in Northern Virginia, and I'm a double Duke. I did my undergrad at JMU and graduated in '97. I played football there as well, and was on the integrated science and technology program at the beginning, and then I went back for my MBA in 2007, graduated in 2009 with a focus on information security. In terms of professional life, when I graduated JMU, I got a job at a college for an IT company. Was able to get an opportunity to co-found a business in 2000. That was a cybersecurity business in the federal space. Grew that over the course of 15 years. We ended up selling it to Mantech in 2015. So I ran defensive cyber for Mantech for 2 years, and kind of learned about a big company and how a public company works and things of that nature. And then left in 17 to start ShorePoint with a couple colleagues. And fast forward to today, we're about a 200 person company, again, focused mostly on the federal civilian sector. I have 4 kids. I'm married as well. 3 in college, so 3 college tuitions and 1 private school, high school kids. So I'm ready for them to be done. And but I'm navigating 1 getting ready to move into the workforce, and 1 doing the college tour process at the moment, and 2 that are just enjoying college. So I'm also, aside from my ShorePoint job, I'm the university engagement lead for the JMU Federal Dukes, which is an affinity network of alumni that is focused primarily on interacting with the university and the students at the university, and connecting them with the federal government contracting sector and all of the opportunities that it provides, both as a federal employee, but also as government contractors that support the area. So I'll talk a little bit about that later on, and encourage anyone that works in the government contracting space to join Federal Dukes, because we have a lot of opportunities and connecting points for networking and integration back with the university. So I'll leave it there and pass it back to you.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks so much, Matt. Thank you all for your introductions. And thanks again for partnering with us on hosting this panel today. So really excited to dig in a little deeper with you all. We have a nice range of backgrounds and perspectives that I know you'll all be able to share, as well as some parallels in some of your lives right now too. So that's really fun. But our first question, and I'll throw this at Josh first, since you alluded to it in your introduction, but would you mind sharing how you decided on the JMU MBA and your particular concentration? What was that process like?
So MBA, I just graduated last year. The emphasis was executive leadership. I guess the best way I can say it is that I had a path in mind. I spoke with a buddy of mine who had an MBA already. I guess I should start with saying that I was in California when I decided to apply to JMU. I knew that my family was going to be moving east at the time, and I knew I wanted to do something towards the end of my career to make me more competitive and marketable as I leave the organization. We're allowed to retire at age 50, at the minimum age 50, and then look for other things. So, Matt, maybe I talk to you later. But other than that, as I was speaking with him, I was actually didn't think I was going to be. I didn't think an MBA was something that I would be able to do. My whole background is all law. And so I graduated in political science and legal studies, and I was supposed to be an attorney. And then right out of college, I enlisted in the Army, and 9/11 happened at that time. And so my career path and passion and my mission went towards working all things counterterrorism. But over the course of that, all of those different experiences, leadership was always that stable point throughout that experience that fed into my success throughout the organization. So, in talking with my buddy about the MBA, he says, "Well, why don't you think about executive leadership? Because you probably already have been doing that for the last 20 years of your life." And the more I looked at the JMU MBA program, and then I looked at the all of the different courses, that lined up better with what it was that I was doing. And now, having finished the program, I can't tell you how much of a better leader I've been, not just from the skill sets that they provide in the course, but in addition to all the different courses that they offer. Like they're such a crossover. Working in human resources, my background or my portfolio, I guess, is more on the med and psych side, in addition to the human performance and performance side. So we deal with budgets, we deal with human capital, we deal with performance management, all of those things, and then leading teams and managing people. So, I went through the program while I had this job, and I can't tell you how many times I would utilize the things I would learn in class, both tactically and strategically, to help me through. So yeah, no, I'm thankful for my friend. He got a very big bottle of scotch after I graduated, and yeah, so here I am.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing, and be thinking of some of those examples that you might be able to share, because that'll be my next question. But yeah, I'll hop over to Allison. Would you like to talk about that process for you?
So I'm going to echo some of the things that Josh spoke of, because as I too looked at MBA programs, first I had to choose from it's something that is sponsored within my organization by the company in pursuing my MBA. So I had to look at a list of colleges first, and again went through that list, looked at various programs within the region, and particularly what the format of the class structure would be. And I like the fact that JMU, one, was a familiar, reputable college. My undergrad is at GMU, George Mason University. So always confused with JMU, GMU. So when looking at JMU, looking at the what I call a hybrid type of setup with how the classes are offered online and in person, that was something that was very attractive to me. I didn't want something that was strictly all online. I like the ability to interact in person, and I felt that I would have the opportunity to gain better connection with those in my cohort, and other cohorts as well, as we were able to meet various folks. So that was important as I looked at what type of program I wanted to be a part of. As I embarked on the classes that were offered, again, that was something else that was very important to me. My background has always been in real estate. I have managed commercial properties historically in the past, shopping centers, warehouses. I again got into the government, what I'll call quasi-government sector, with Raytheon at various capacities. And I've always worked with budgets. I've always worked with leadership at various levels. I've always managed headquarters, and again, interaction and sitting in on various meetings where I felt like there is more to be gained, and understanding, the conversations, being able to contribute to the conversations at a high level. I thought that the executive MBA program offered those classes that I could use. That, as Josh was saying, as I was going through this program, it was very instrumental, very timely, as I lead, a team, as I lead leaders, that I could take the information, the knowledge that I've gained in the course of the program, and apply it to my everyday work environment. So that was very helpful for me. It was very insightful. It gave me a whole nother perspective as I sat in on different meetings, as various things are discussed, as we talk about, you know, uh, various companies and partnerships and understanding leaders and understanding how to manage people, understanding what goes into various business decisions, understanding the strategy behind decisions that are made. So, the program offered a wide range of options to help me better understand from a leadership perspective. And I will say, when I first thought about MBA, I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have so much math to do. And how much in the weeds I did not want to be. And I feel like I really felt like the program offered me a high level perspective of various things. So from a financial perspective, again, I've always worked with budgets. I have to crunch numbers. I work with financial teams. I partner with them. So I've never been afraid of that. But again, that's not my specialty. I am a leader within our organization, leader of leaders, and I deal with a lot of people. I always say I'm not an engineer. I work with a lot of people that are engineers, a lot of people across various functions of the company, from supply chain to, again, engineering, and what I do and some of the skills that I've been able to hone in on and explore were definitely part of the program and the classes that I took to help me be a better leader, to help me communicate better and understand as a leader things to take into perspective. So.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that process and how it's already benefited you. And Matt, I'm curious to hear from you. Obviously, having a connection to JMU already, what that MBA search was like, and how you settled specifically on the InfoSec area.
Yeah, so I did the program from 2007 to 2009, and around 2007, I was starting to think about kind of what my next step in my career would be. And I felt like I didn't have the credentials that I think would be needed, knowing that eventually something was going to happen to our company. We'd be bought, we'd go public, we'd grow something. But I lacked kind of the experience, credentialed experience to kind of get there. And so I felt like I needed something more formal than just a bachelor's degree and work experience to kind of give me credibility and some of the types of roles that I think I'd want to go after as I went forward. And so I started looking around at programs, and I started with JMU and fortunately found the MBA program that was tailored to information security. And it was kind of a good marriage between obviously me being in the cybersecurity field, JMU being accredited through NSA, and I was consulting up to NSA at the time. And then the leadership programs that I kind of wanted to have to bolster my experience. And then marry that with timing. I just had my third child, so it was I started the program in June. He was born in May, so I had needed flexibility to not be in a classroom setting 5 days a week or a period of time. So the flexibility of the program really worked out well for me. We did meetings every 8th Saturday in Reston for a full day, but then online on Tuesday nights, and then we did group meetings, randomly throughout the week. So I could always do it at a time that worked well. I'd put my newborn to bed, and then I'd go downstairs in the basement and put my headphones on and go to class. And it worked really well for me. And so, super glad I did the program. I got a tremendous amount out of it. I know we'll talk about examples going forward, but for me, organizational behavior was like the number one. It was an eye-opening class that I didn't expect I needed, but I got something from it directly, immediately after taking the class. And that was knowing how to work with different personality types, understanding the different types of people in an organization and how you have to communicate differently with different types of personalities, motivation factors. I learned a lot about myself and some of my weaknesses in my own personality type that I needed to pay attention to more if I wanted to be, a decent leader and a good communicator. So it was a great experience for me, both from the curriculum and the data I got from classes that I could use right away, as well as the timing of the program fitting well into my life at the time. That made it a really kind of beneficial experience. And then the cohort that I was with, we had a CISO from the Federal Reserve Board. We had a plant manager at Merck. We had several people we had a couple Booz Allen folks that were doing cyber forensics. So we had a nice kind of industry, like a nice kind of peer group of people that were in the industry in different ways that we had some young, some old. We had great experience types. So every meeting we had, every kind of team function we did throughout the classes, you gained a lot out of it, not just from the curriculum perspective, but from the interaction of different people that you probably wouldn't interact with daily. That really made it a more enriching experience for me.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much. Yeah, and thanks for highlighting the cohorts. Allison and Josh were in the same cohort, graduated together in December, and that is such an essential part and kind of unique piece of our program model as well. So I'd love to talk a little more specifically about those examples you mentioned. So we can kind of round robin this. Whoever wants to jump in first, feel free with any examples or thoughts on how the MBA helped you specifically and especially working in a unique federal space. So anytime you can think of you were able to apply what you were learning or just how that MBA has helped you specifically in your progression through your work paths. Yeah, and again, I won't call on anyone for this, but whoever wants to share first, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I'll just add on since I started going with the organizational behavior. So organizational behavior was huge for me personally. The other one was a lot of the financial statements, just the basic finance information at my last, at KCG, our founding company. I felt like I didn't understand balance sheets, income statements, stuff like that as well as I probably needed to as a leader. So that was really good kind of foundational information to get. In our current company, we did an acquisition for a small company a couple of years ago. And I found myself pulling out my old JMU curriculum for discounted cash flow analysis and doing kind of projected cash flows to figure out valuation for a business. And it quickly came back to me and was something that I used, that was specific to something that we were doing strategically with our company that I would not have had before. And so, certainly the combination of the soft skill, I would say, development that was very important to me and that I got a lot out from the curriculum. And then, some of the actual course materials for business and being able to operate a business and the tools that you need to operate and make good business decisions were probably two of the biggest examples or things that I took away from that I very much appreciate and did not have prior to going in.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. All right, Allison or Josh, feel free. Josh, you want to jump in?
I'll jump in. I'll build on what Matt's talking about. And one of the things that I think both Allison and Matt talked about is going into the program where you think you are. We all have significant work experience, but I will tell you, as one of those going into leadership roles, once they start putting balance sheets in front of you, or they talk to you about budget, and or you get different issues that are brought to you if you have to build project or build teams, one of the things that the program really stressed was like practical application. And so I can't stress enough how well the professors brought their personal and professional backgrounds into the classroom, and to be able to say, this is how what it is that I'm teaching you works. This is what I've seen in my experience. And this is why I'm teaching this to you today. So I was able to take that on a Tuesday night and apply it on a Wednesday morning. And so, in addition to that, it was building my ability, not only my business acumen, because I'm surrounded by nothing but talent. I mean, the folks that come out of schools these days, they all have MBAs, and I was the only guy in the room that didn't. But it gave me the ability and confidence to ask good questions that were useful not only to the table, but and take away and also would change the directory of say project development, because there's what we as leaders identify either as vision and mission. Well, folks are just going to bring you numbers and data and say, this is why it works. And if you're not having dialogue with them, then you actually are just going with what it is that they're saying. The MBA program and pick your class enabled me to be able to ask good questions, have conversations, and then be able to stay with the conversation throughout the interaction. So that was something I found incredibly useful. And to Matt's comment about the diversity of the cohort, I was able to go back to the cohort and ask questions and say, guys, gals, this is what I'm facing. This is what I'm going through. What are your experiences? And we had a good mix of folks as well. And I think they do that obviously intentionally, but that was something that was super useful for me because the perspectives changed. I was in an organization for 20 years, and I have folks that have been in different positions, and they had a diversity of talent and experience. So I was able to draw from that and stay current with the folks that I was interacting with on a regular basis. So there you go.
All right. I'm gonna echo off of both Matt and Josh. I would say first, the getting my MBA was at my stage in my career. I'm gonna say that I heard, oh, that's not something you really need at this stage. But as I looked to what's next for me and where potentially I may want to go to potentially move outside of my organization within the company, I said, hey, having these credentials behind my experience, I think will be a plus, add a little feather in my cap. And I definitely think that has been the case in various conversations that I've had along the way, and sharing that I was getting and now have graduated with my MBA. It has been definitely added value to my resume. Again, I would call myself a seasoned professional within the cohort. As Josh said, there was a mix of talent across various industries. That was definitely a plus. As I've gone through the program, it opened my eyes and definitely allowed me as a professional, again, both personally and professionally, to understand other perspectives as I've gone through the journey of taking classes, as I've encountered various situations at work, and could come back and again take that information that I've learned from the professors. The professors were great. I give kudos to whoever does all the hiring, Matt, that is, and and again, the various backgrounds and their experience with what they do, and how they can not only, again, share their background, their experience, but their professional advice that will, I think, that has helped as we've gone through, the materials, as we've made sense of various things. Because there were times I've had questions. Will I really use that? What's the purpose of that? And again, having someone in that has had the instruction and have worked in that field say, hey, this is how, I've used this. This is how this was part of my experience, and sharing that with us. So as a class, as a cohort, was very, very, very informative. I thought very useful as I've gone through the program.
Great. Thank you all so much. For
And
sharing.
let me add, can I add on to something Josh said that I think is important? We talk about a bunch of kids or people coming out of college already with MBAs, or, the folks entering the workforce, a lot of them have MBAs. As having gone back to school after some work experience, I think the program is really good for both, right? It has a good mix of kind of the foundational skills that you need to eventually move into leadership, as well as the kind of technical course knowledge. But if you go back to the program with some level of work experience, I can't tell you how valuable that was to me, to be able to use right away. To Josh's point, like, you learn something one day and then you're able to apply it the next day in a real life work experience. And I think the combination of having experience where you've had problems in the past and recognizing that something that you've learned could have helped that problem in the past, and now as a tool that you have in your toolbox for going forward, is tremendously valuable. I think, you get a lot more when you're spending your own money to go for a program, or you're in your career and you're making the choice to invest in yourself to get a degree. I think you're just by nature, you value it more, and you take the time to truly understand how the material is going to help you in your day-to-day career, and leverage it for such. And so I think there is tremendous value in being able to combine some level of work experience and the kind of information that you gather through the program, and put those two things together. And it is, it's a tremendous toolkit foundation for you as you go forward. I thought that was one of the most eye-opening things I didn't expect going through the program, is that I would find out things in the program that I could use right away, and that would help me kind of going forward. I just kind of thought I kind of associated with just like my undergrad program, which is like, you just go through this, get your degree, and then you move into the workforce. And sometimes you'll use it and sometimes you won't. This was extremely valuable right away. And I didn't expect that as I started that journey.
Yeah, that's such a great point, Matt. Thanks for sharing that. And I went through a different master's program and had a similar kind of eye-opening experience in that, of really being able to notice, because my program was a blend of straight out of undergrad and those with work experience. And you could really see the difference in how different lessons were kind of applied based on whether or not you had that real life experience to apply it to. So it's a great point. My next question or thought is more with our current students and alumni in mind. So I know Josh and Allison have only had a few months to kind of be out of the program, and maybe you're still processing what it's like to have a little more free time back in your schedule. But I'd love to hear from all of you, and Matt too, being out for longer. Do you have any advice on how you used your MBA to create new opportunities for yourself post-grad, or kind of how to leverage that degree into kind of the next step for you?
So I will start. I will say, as I have built what I call my board of directors. Or expanded what I'll call my board of directors along my professional journey. I've used obtaining my MBA as a talking point and area of opportunity to engage with others. As I look at what's next within my career, as I either stay within my organization or, branch outside of my organization. I've used my MBA as, an opportunity to strike up that conversation and say, hey, I've just finished fresh out of graduation. Would like to put some time on your calendar. These are some of the things that, stood out to me in my program. And as I look to at my next journey or my next career opportunity, would like to run a few things by you. So I've leveraged recently obtaining my MBA as a talking point, as a window of opportunity to engage with some folks that I hadn't, that I feel may have some added value in their experience and their role, and shed some light on opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, I guess I'll go. So it hasn't went off yet, Anna, in case you're wondering. Like, I still feel guilty. I feel like I should be doing something. My wife actually intentionally told me to stop doing things because going through the program kind of revs you up. Every single day you're sharp into the evening. You feel exhausted every day, but it's the best kind of exhaustion that I think anyone would want to feel, because you're doing the right thing and you're doing it for yourself and your family. So, off the top, so the traumatization is ongoing, and I share that with everybody.
I'll pass that on to Matt. I'll be sure he knows.
So tactically, I would tell you, in the job, how have I used my MBA? I mentioned I have kind of the health space, so that also includes like wellness and resilience in building programming. In law enforcement, we have it. We have different programs, but I oversee the program for the entire organization. So with the different personnel that I have counselors, I have doctors, I have nurses, and the like. I found that one of the classes that we took, I can't remember off the top of my head, but we discussed work utilization and how to calculate work utilization throughout the day. So instead of just holding people accountable for the things that they do in a day, I was actually able to say, well, why don't you break down those hours and then give me the percentages so that I can understand, where you spend your time, so that we can allocate effectively and then find those efficiencies. And I got to tell you, that one of my direct reports turned around, she's like, what did you say? And I was like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about, and this is what we're going to do. But so I found that just interesting in terms of like, yeah, this stuff is actually resonating. How I interact with other executives, how do I go back and forth, from I always talk about like business acumen. It's just simply being able to communicate at a level with folks that see things differently and understanding what the incentives are, and perspectives that they're coming from, and be able to communicate back beyond just having a conversation with somebody. So if you're talking about numbers and being able to calculate what that looks like, talking about personnel and resources and stuff, and building to what that is, you're actually able to provide a legitimate formula to them to demonstrate that you've done your homework, and then you can have a useful conversation with them. And I'm not sure how that happens in other organizations, but that seemed to work in what it is that I do currently. The other part of that is what that looks like for me ahead. In the health space, the executive health and wellness is something that is becoming more and more, I guess, known within the government sector. And so we benchmark off each other all the time. And so that's something that I knew the MBA would be useful for me. I didn't know when I went in. I just knew that over the course of what it is in terms of how I would apply it, I was like, that's that, again, always I did the right, I made the right mistake picking the MBA so that when I do go into the next career, I have a better understanding and focus working in health and wellness. Uh, but again, I didn't usually guys like me in some type of security firm working with risk, but the MBA actually expounded beyond that, and now I can look at other C-suite type of positions with different organizations and actually feel comfortable walking into it. So
Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll add quickly. I mean, I think I use the knowledge I gained every day in our current company in ShorePoint. I mean, from the very beginning when we started thinking about the business, one of the things we had to do in the curriculum was develop a business plan for I think ours was a forensics lab. But it gave me confidence to be able to write a business plan for what ultimately became our current business, ShorePoint. We spend a ton of time on culture, and so creating core values that are meaningful to us when we first started the business, so that we could then kind of instill that in our workforce as they came on board, and then track our effectiveness of how those core values are being represented in our service delivery. I would have never thought to do that kind of early on. I would have thought of the nuts and bolts of the business, about going to get new clients and hiring and things like that, and not a lot about kind of the softer skills of culture that are more meaningful than anything else, really, especially in a services business like myself. And then kind of one tactical thing, I mentioned organizational behavior and how much it taught me. I learned quickly that I was a conflict avoider in when we were doing the assessment of your personality type, and the danger of that in terms of leadership in an organization, because you're not actually helping the person that you're having conflict with by not addressing it in some meaningful capacity, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And so just having insight into that flaw or that weakness that I had, and being able to pay attention to it when I started to see, oh, this is lingering and I'm not addressing it, and that's my problem and I've got to deal with it. Like just little things like that have really been a huge benefit to me in kind of how comfortable I am. I'm always learning, but obviously how comfortable I feel in making decisions, and at least kind of always assessing kind of my role in the organization, and things that I can do better and things that we can do better. So it was a huge, and I use that every day.
Amazing. Thank you so much to all of you. All of those stories are great. We're so fortunate to have such amazing alumni coming through our program and working so hard and sacrificing so much while you're completing it, and then going on and doing amazing things afterwards. We love seeing your updates, either on LinkedIn or just hearing from you personally. So yeah, thank you all for being great students and great representatives of our program, and for continuing to follow up and help us out. Yeah, it's been great to hear your stories, and how you've been able to apply what you've learned to your day-to-day. This has been awesome. So yeah, huge thank you to the three of you. If you have time, we could take one or two questions from our participants who are here, if there are any. So I'll just open it up now. Feel free to type in the chat or just unmute if any of you have a question for Allison, Josh, and Matt.
And Anna, while we wait, if there are any questions, I just want to put a plug in for JMU Federal Dukes for those that are on either now or on the webinar. JMU Federal Dukes, as I mentioned, is an affinity network of alumni that all either work in or around the government federal contracting community, and we are over 2,000 strong membership. You can connect with us on LinkedIn under JMU Federal Dukes as a way to engage. We also have a website that's out there, and what we try to do is just foster a community of folks that have an affiliation with JMU, but work in the public sector and the government contracting sector, and do events to like this to provide outreach, but also networking opportunities for folks. to get back involved with the university that we all have a piece of our hearts with. So if you're interested, please reach out to us on the LinkedIn group and follow us.
Yeah, perfect. We even tailgated next to each other at homecoming this year. It was great.
It's a fun group. We do fun events.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Any questions from those joining today? All right.
Anna, can I grab one real quick?
Of course.
I'm Mike Pryor with the MBA program here, but I am curious. All three of you talked about the value of the MBA experience. You know, what it did for you concurrently through your job, what it brought educationally to you to challenge maybe things at work and push yourself forward. Do you see that the people in your organization or maybe the people you manage, do companies see value in an MBA still? And has your perception of the MBA value to maybe your counterparts change of the encouragement to do it, or what that might look like as you mentor someone or receive mentorship from someone?
I'll start. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Before I did the program, I didn't know that I had a perception of what an MBA was. I think it was just kind of a cert, and if you had it, great, but if you didn't, it's okay too. Having seen the value of it, certainly for leadership, I think it's something that I value whenever I see a candidate come across or a leader in our organization come across the desk, in terms of knowing that they have at least a foundational background and the skills needed. Some of our employees are actually going through the program now, so that's exciting, and certainly something that I see a tremendous amount of value in. So I think my perception has changed having gone through it, of the importance of an MBA. Certainly as you look to getting into positions of leadership, and having the skills, kind of the soft skills that are necessary, that don't necessarily get taught in normal classes, that are kind of a technical acumen.
All right, I guess I'll follow that. So I gotta tell you, so in HR, we also have, and I don't oversee this, but university education program where we reimburse those that are going in. So one of the parts of the application process is what degree are you pursuing and why. And I can tell you, since my time here, they've actually have taken a different look at the different types of degrees that people are pursuing and actually narrowed it. I was a huge proponent of ensuring that most folks that looking at the MBA is more than just it being a certification, as Matt mentioned. It is that and more. And a big part of that is that leadership piece and that soft skill piece. I can have somebody that's an incredible project management or accounting skills, but if they don't possess all of that, those soft skills, that leadership experience that is gained through all the different courses that they throw at you. I mean, there's just a ton of takeaways. I mean, I don't know about you, Matt or Allison. I mean, some of the case analysis was not just on the businesses themselves, but on the leaders and CEOs, and the approaches and why those businesses were either successful or failed or struggled. And a lot of it had to do with that leadership piece. And so the things that I look for with the folks that I either manage or hire is that soft skill approach beyond just the certification or that specific skill set. It's kind of that intangible that I think the program builds on.
Yeah, to add on to that, like my kids are both in business classes in college, or following business majors. And I think you have a tendency to think that businesses, you're going to go into business finance, wealth management, private equity, something like that. But the value of this program was the way it taught the fundamentals, but also focused more on kind of those soft skills and the leadership qualities that are necessary, that don't necessarily are focused on finance, but are focused on kind of a wide range of industries and needed. One of the things that I see, in interviewing folks all the time now, is there's a lack of critical thinking, I think, with a lot of the candidates that we talk to. where they may know the answer, but they don't know the why behind the answer, and or they don't know what problem they're trying to solve in answering a question. And so I think this program did a really good job of kind of providing the tools necessary to see that, and then to also kind of have a critical thinking mindset going into it. And so, the value truly is the soft skill leadership qualities that are really, I think, missing in a lot of the workforce today, that are super valuable and ultimately determine kind of what your ceiling is in your career growth.
I will agree with both Matt and Josh on that. I learned that it's not just what's in the data. It's the people, it's the environment, it's the culture that ultimately, again, depends on the success of the organization. As Josh said, when we were doing various case studies, it wasn't just around the numbers, but around the leadership style, around the leaders. And, taken from that, I would always say it starts at the top and it trickles down. So, again, a lot of the soft skills and things that are needed as a leader are important. And again, this program emphasized that and helped as we went along in the program to understand the importance of that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all so much. I think that's a great topic and great points to round out our discussion today. I know you all have busy work days to get back to. But yeah, I can't emphasize enough how much we appreciate your time, the thoughtfulness and sharing your experiences and perspectives with us and with our alumni, current students, and prospects, just everyone involved with the MBA. Yeah, really special program, really wonderful to see you all and to hear from our alums. So thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.